Ross, congratulations. After that first half, 10 quarters to 2, I think you were the only team that had the shot that forced a save out of Gauchi in the first half. In that second half, you completely turned it, I thought, tactically. What did you see where you could penetrate?
Yeah, well, there's a few things in that first half that we saw that we need to be better at, especially in goal kicks. They were leaving one of the sides free, so we adjusted that. We showed them the footage. On our right hand side, we were getting in behind them late in that first half, quite a bit, which is what we worked on as well during the week. And there's just a few things that we showed. There was mainly 3 things that we showed at half time, and then became attitude. And that was basically it. It was the team that wanted to win the most and was willing to push the ball around and play their football. And yeah, we should have been easy 4 goals up, easy.
So you also lost a couple of players in that first half,
yeah.
And from what I understand, injury. Did that worry you? I know they were both defenders as well.
Yeah, it always worries us when we've got injuries, but we had 2 players on the bench that were covering certain areas anyway, so I think they came on and did extremely well, Zabala and Trewin. But it's never good to have injuries, but these are non-contact injuries, and a lot of it has to do with what we've been playing on in the last 2 weeks, and it's taken a toll on our player. Henry Hoare's got to have a knee operation. He's another one, post-game, no contact. So that's the frustrating thing, because the players put in a lot of hard work and a lot of time and effort into their training, and then I'm not blaming Suncorp, I'm not blaming anyone. It's just, it's not. We're playing on fields that are not fit to play on, as simple as that. So I really do hope that the APL step in and do something, but it's disappointing. Yeah, again, it's a good win, but I've got 2 players out injured now, again.
Just this pitch here, I think last week they had Foo Fighters. You probably wouldn't have known.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did, because there's another concert in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I think this weekend, and we're playing in Melbourne again, so we're following the concerts.
But how did this pitch hold up for your players?
It was perfect. I don't understand how you can have, 26,000 here for the Foo Fighters, I heard, and the pitch is superb. High Marsh has always been superb, and I don't understand how it happens in other grounds. I mean, the new, is it Allianz Stadium? Is that what it's called, in Sydney? They had the concert there as well. And grass looks good to me. We're playing on clay at Suncorp, and again, I don't blame Suncorp. They've got to make their money, but something's got to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. But the field today was perfect. For our players to come here and play on grass was they were pretty happy.
Just you personally coming back, you were here a couple of years ago, number 2 to Carl, you coached the women's side, obviously captain here. What was it like inside? Because probably more pressure from your own family.
Yes. Nah. It was it was another game for me. It wasn't about, like I said in pre-game, and I said all week, it's not about me. It's about Brisbane Roar playing Adelaide United. And, you win games, you lose games, you draw games, and it was about putting on a performance. And I said before the game that if we create the chances, we need to capitalise on those chances. And I'm talking about the clear-cut ones. Like I said, you could have easily been 4. And on the flip side, I think we defended extremely well in and around our penalty area, which was important because last week we didn't do that.
Ross, you talked about getting in behind on the right, and that was probably more prevalent in the last few minutes of the first half after the disallowed goal, which was sort of against the run and play. Do you feel like that sort of sparked your boys' interaction a little bit?
Yeah, I think they started to have a little bit more belief. Probably the frustrating thing at the time is that Adelaide come off of a bad result from last weekend. They're at home, they need to lift. I know Carl's going to lift them. And although that they had probably had more possession, they didn't have. I don't recall a chance that they created. And then once we started to play our football, I think our players started to believe. And it's always the same. The first 30 minutes are always difficult in any game that we play, and then teams start to either fatigue or we start to find a bit of rhythm. So in the second half, I knew what was going to happen. We knew, the players knew, we spoke about it, we showed them, but again it was the attitude, and the attitude impressed me the most. And I spoke about it during the week. It's a Queenslander mentality. It's a never say die attitude. It's a fighting mentality, and that's what I want to see. And that's what the players want, and that's what our supporters want, and that's what makes me the most proud of the team.
Following the 2 goals and obviously the 2-goal lead, it just felt like, and I don't know if it was deliberate, and hoping you can shed some light on it, but it felt like you knew the Adelaide, the ball's over the top, the speed, it felt like everyone was just sitting off, waiting to pick up that second ball, and it felt like you got it almost every time.
They were playing long balls?
They were trying to obviously use their pace to go over the top, and I felt like you were picking up those second balls every time.
Yeah, because I've seen the way they play, and they're dangerous. They catch you on the break, and they're iracunda. Benny Halloran probably tracks back a little bit more. Clough is extremely dangerous. When Toure comes on, he's dangerous. But if you don't track back, you leave yourself open. So yeah, we expected what they did, and I think we did extremely. The players did extremely well to capitalise on it.
In a game of such close margins, obviously it was a couple of years that you were here since you've been here, but obviously you know some of the players, you know some of the way they played. A lot has changed, but you still know those players. You still spend a lot of time with those players. Those little extra 1% things that you can recall, I know you probably won't rely on them, but do they sort of help when you come back to face a team you were once involved in?
Not really. I think the most important thing for us is that we do our analysis during the week, and because players change over years, over months. So it's not so much that, I know strengths and weaknesses of players, but we do our analysis on all opposition and all players. So we have someone that analyses individuals and shows us their strengths and weaknesses, especially the ones that are strong in the league. So I knew a little bit, probably a little bit more about Adelaide than other teams.
You mentioned Adelaide's pressing structure today. I think that's definitely the first time I've seen them deploy something like that, leaving the fullback free, like you mentioned. Were you surprised by that as well?
No, not at all.
No, yeah.
No. With the analysis, we saw what they do, and it was very clear. We just needed to see it a little bit quicker on the field.
And you mentioned the injuries, not to harp on it too much, but Anthony Burke-Gilroy as well. It's 2 weeks in a row. He's had to come off early. Must be particularly disappointing for him. Yeah,
I think he's a little bit more neural with his hamstring. Don't know about Nevsy. Nevsy, I'm pretty sure it was his groin. He wanted to stay on, but there was no way that he was staying on. When they assessed him, they said he had no strength whatsoever. So, yeah, frustrating.
I think it's 4 games unbeaten, and now a couple of away games where you've actually shown some real grit as well. Thinking back to the Mariners game, going down to 10 men. So, I mean, do you feel like you're really starting to build something that's actually pushing towards, long-term success?
Yeah, we don't look too far ahead. We always look at day by day, every day in training improving, and every game improving on what we've done the week before, because every game is different. But I will say that it's 7 games that Adelaide United, that Brisbane Roar haven't beaten Adelaide United, and to come here to High Marsh, where it's extremely difficult to play, because they are a good side. Carl, credit to Carl, he's done an amazing job the whole time he's been here, and I think this year's no different. But that fighting mentality, again, even like I said, the last week we had enough chances to score 5 goals, clear-cut chances, not half chances, clear-cut chances. So I'm not surprised this week, but that again, and I said at last press conference, these boys, majority, especially the young ones, are from Queensland, and they play for that jersey, and And that's what makes me proud, because that's what the people in Queensland want to see, that fighting mentality, and that's what they showed again today.
And Ross, you mentioned that mentality as well, but you have to have, I guess, a coach and a coaching team to be able to get that out of your players. And you mentioned how tough Hindmarsh used to come and play at, and just how pleasing is it for you that so early in your reign you've been able to come here and you can confidently say we should have won by 4, and there's really no arguments against it.
Like I said, I'm extremely pleased, but we showed in pre-season, the pre-season cup, the football that we were going to play. I said it from day one, the way I wanted to play. With the press, we didn't execute all that well in the first half. There's a couple of players that are off, but again, Jez Lofthouse is probably a player that bit early for him to start with his fitness level. But yeah, the cup final in Sydney, I think for the first 55 minutes we were outstanding. The football that we played, so I'm very pleased, and we just want to keep going and improving.
And two sides that really prioritise attacking. Carl Viet called himself midweek stubborn, and yourself stubborn as well, but how you go about your football. And we saw two sides that played the game, and your side came on top. I guess how pleasing is it to come up, not against a side that may sit back against you, but one that may want to attack you and, I guess, beat them in that game?
Yeah, he called me stubborn.
You and him stubborn in the way you approach your football, but yes, absolutely he did.
Yeah. I want to play a certain brand of football, and we just got to keep on getting better, because to play an attacking brand of football and high tempo and relentless, the way we want to play, you need to be able to defend well as well, especially on the counter, especially against a team that leaves players up front. We don't leave our players up front to try and catch teams on the counter. We do catch them, but every single player needs to defend. So. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the outcome.
And just a word on, I guess, having to mark Nestor and Kunda. Obviously, you have a player come off and you need to change markers. But I guess both your fullbacks did an outstanding job marking when he came off, frustrated as well. How pleased are you to be able to contain a player like that?
Yeah. All three fullbacks did extremely well, because Nestor changed sides as well. So at one stage, Burke Gilroy was on him, and then Jack Hinger, and then he went to the other side, and Zabala was on him. So they did extremely well. But the other player, Moussa Touré, is dangerous. I've seen game after game he comes on and he gets in those pockets, but we work towards that during the week. So that's where I'm proud of the players, because what we worked on, they actually executed, and it's up to them. We can work on whatever we want, but if the players don't execute, it makes life difficult.
Last week you went from 2-0 up to a 2-2 draw in the end. Was that something that was it important for you to make sure that if you got in that position again today that you didn't drop those points?
No, we went 2-0 up, and then they got 2 goals back. We should have been 5-0 up, or 5-1. So that we were extremely disappointed. The players were, the coaching staff, because we created enough chances to finish that game off before it even got to 2-2. And even after that, we still had chances, and we had another goal disallowed, so that's 2-2. We don't have luck, or much luck, should I say, with the VAR, with handballs and penalties, but we don't sit there and complain about it. But it wasn't that we held on for a draw. We should have clearly won that game last week, in our opinion. Someone else's is probably different, but the statistics show, and footage shows that we had plenty of chances to score at least 5.